On the 6th of November 2024, it was officially announced that Gabriel Bortoleto will become an F1 driver in 2025, signing with everybody's favourite Formula 1 team, Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. But who is this young driver? And why exactly do I think he's F1's next big thing? Well, that's what this entire video is all about, so we'll just get on with it. On the 14th of October 2004, Shark Tale was the biggest film in the world. Robbie Williams' Radio was the UK #1. For our American viewers, he's that guy who had that monkey film. We're quite fond of him. And we were 4 days removed from the Japanese Grand Prix, which was won by Michael Schumacher. But in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Gabriel Lorenzo Bortoleto was born. His father, Lincoln, is one of the co-founders of the Stock Car Pro Series in Brazil, which has seen the likes of Felipe Massa and Rubens Barrichello compete in after their F1 careers, and he was also the founder of the telecommunications company Americanet, which sold for over $300 million in 2023. Bortoleto would start karting in 2011 and enter competitions in 2012, winning the Junior Brazilian Kart Open and following that up by winning the cadet class in the next year. Bortoleto would move across the globe, competing in Europe and World Championship kart races. Bortoleto made his car racing debut in 2020 in Italian Formula 4, joining the Prema team alongside Sebastian Montoya, Dino Boganovic and Gabriele Mini. His standout weekend from that season would come at Mugello, where he would get his first podium, finishing second in the first race, then winning the second race and getting the hat-trick of podiums with a third in the third and final race of that weekend. In 2021, he would move across to Formula Regional European Championship, where he would race for Fernando Alonso's team, and while the team massively struggled, only scoring 58 points across the season, compared to the Constructors' Champions who scored 481, Bortoleto scored 44 of those 58 points, with the other 14 points being scored by his two teammates. This performance was good enough to impress Alonso, who would take him under his wing and sign him to his driver management company. With help from Alonso, Bortoleto would make the move to Formula 3 in 2023 with the Trident team, who had finished second in the Constructors' Championship the previous year, and had won the Constructors' Championship 2 years prior to that, but had never made a Formula 3 champion, with their best result being second twice. Bortoleto would win the first feature race of the year, benefiting from a penalty given to Gabriele Mini. Bortoleto would follow this up with a pole and another feature race win in Australia. He would then score points in the next 10 consecutive races, and was sitting at the top of the Formula 3 Championship by 43 points. Then heading into the Belgian Grand Prix weekend, which was the only one where he didn't score any points at all during the weekend. Then F3 entered its final race of the season at Monza, where Pepe Marti or Paul Aron would need to take pole position in order to stop Bortoleto becoming champion in his rookie year. But as the pole on the day went to Ollie Gerfer, Bortoleto will become Formula 3 champion on the Friday in Monza.
We've never had a Brazilian champion in Formula 3. That has now changed. A first driver's champion for the Trident team as well. And Gabriel Bortoleto can now relax. The pressure has come off. There we go. That says it all. He is our 2023 driver's champion.
After becoming Formula 3 champion, Bortoleto had some of the eyes of the F1 world looking at him, and he would be signed to the McLaren Driver Development Programme. Bortoleto would then join Formula 2 as the Formula 3 champion, with Invicta Virtuosi Racing, and much like Trident in Formula 3, Virtuosi had never created a Formula 2 champion, but unlike Trident, they had also never won the Constructors' Championship, with their best ever finish being second. But the last time they did that was 3 years previous, and their previous two Constructors' Championship finishing positions were 7th and 5th. Bortoleto would secure pole position for the first feature race of the year, but would only be able to convert that into 5th, and he would not score any points in the next 4 races, including 3 DNFs. So after 3 rounds, Bortoleto had 15 points and was outside the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. In Imola, Bortoleto took his second pole position and converted that into a second place to claim his first F2 podium, and would follow that up with another second place in the Monaco Sprint. He would score points at the next 4 races in a row, and then at the feature race in Austria, Bortoleto would take his first ever F2 race win. This good run of form had promoted Bortoleto to 3rd in the drivers' standings, but he still trailed the championship leader Paul Aron by a mighty 32 points. But a mixture of bad results for Aron and good results for Bortoleto, including another podium at Spa, meant that Bortoleto had now overtaken Aron in the standings. But he still trailed the championship leader, who was now Isaac Hadjar, by 36 points, heading into the next race in Monza. Monza had been the place where Gabriel had won the Formula 3 Championship a year earlier, but at the start of this weekend, it did not look like it was going to be one to remember, spinning in qualifying without setting a time, meaning he would start both races from last place. In the sprint race, he would charge through the grid, crossing the line in a dead heat with Dennis Hauger, with both of them being awarded 8th place, the final points position of the sprint race, with both being given half a point each. Then came the feature race. Again starting last, but chaos would breed opportunity for Bortoleto.
Maloney's going to box him out, and contact between Aron and the championship leader, and multiple cars off the road, including Hauger,
who was up to 15th place when the safety car came out. Bortoleto would stay out whilst others would pit, and he would lead the race. A second safety car would come out then and allow Bortoleto to pit, and he would then come out in 6th. A lap after the restart and he was already up to 4th, and on lap 15 of 30, Bortoleto overtook his teammate Kush Maini to retake the lead of the race, which he would keep, and after starting 22nd, Bortoleto would win the Monza feature race, becoming the first driver ever to win from last place in Formula 2, and more importantly, cut Isaac Hadjar's championship lead down to 10.5 points. After this, Bortoleto would get his first experience in an F1 car, driving the McLaren MCL 36 from the 2022 F1 season. The next race in Baku, he would finish 5th in the sprint and 4th in the feature, whilst Hadjar would have an awful weekend, finishing 12th in the sprint and 14th in the feature, so Gabriel Bortoleto would become the championship leader by 4.5 points. We then had a big break in Formula 2 between the Azerbaijan race and the Qatar race of over 2 months, but during that break, Bortoleto would receive the backing of both Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen, both of whom were vocal about Bortoleto's abilities and that he should be in consideration for an F1 seat in 2025, as he was now in the discussion for the available Sauber seat, with Verstappen saying, "If I was Sauber, I would have signed him already." And Piastri would go on to add, "I think he's been doing an impressive job. Obviously, winning F3 as a rookie and now leading the championship in F2, I have personal experience of the pain of not getting a seat, so for his sake, I hope he doesn't have to go through that." On the 6th of November 2024, it was officially confirmed that Bortoleto would be in F1 in 2025, with the Sauber team, meaning that if he did win the Formula 2 championship, he would become the first champion since Mick Schumacher in 2020 to go into F1 in the very next season. But Bortoleto moving to Sauber also meant that he would have to leave the McLaren driver development program, which he did at the end of 2024. A penalty for crossing the pit lane entry in Qatar would see a win taken away from him and meant that his championship lead would be cut down to just half a point heading into the final race weekend in Abu Dhabi. Bortoleto would qualify 2nd and Hadjar was 4th. In the sprint, Bortoleto would finish 2nd and Hadjar would be 5th, meaning that in the final race of the year, Bortoleto had a 4.5 point advantage, and it would all come down to the final feature race. But it was seemingly over just as it was about to begin, as Hadjar stalled on the grid and would eventually finish 19th and 1 lap down, while Bortoleto would make it back-to-back second place finishes to become the Formula 2 champion in his rookie year, to follow on from his Formula 3 championship in his rookie year. So now we look ahead to 2025, and Bortoleto will be driving for Sauber as the Formula 2 champion. Now, it's not all going to be straightforward for him as he enters Formula 1 with the worst team of last year, who only managed to score 4 points, and his teammate will be the highly experienced Nico Hülkenberg, who hopefully he can learn a lot from, but will also be a tough measuring stick to go up against. But the 2025 grid will have some familiar faces for Bortoleto. With a high influx of rookies, both Ollie Behrman and Kimi Antonelli competed against Bortoleto this year in Formula 2, and Bortoleto's title rival Isaac Hadjar has been called up to the Racing Bulls F1 team. Bortoleto's high-profile backers, Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri, will now become his competitors, and of course, Bortoleto's manager, Fernando Alonso, will have to manage this relationship whilst also being a rival on the track. So it will be a difficult start for Bortoleto, who is thrown in at the deep end at the start of his F1 career. But the promise of Sauber turning to Audi on the horizon, and the talent and ability he has already shown thus far in his career, I see no reason why Gabriel Bortoleto can't be F1's next big thing.